Okay, we'll get started with the Tuesday, June 16th, 2026 work session of the Board of Education. I'll go around and introduce guests.
Hey, Jamie Harrington, Vice President of People, Culture, and Safety, and Chief of Staff.
Good afternoon, Lisa Stanton, Vice President of Operations and Finance and COO.
Me? Sure. Isam Mohammed, Executive Director, Institutional Effectiveness and Planning.
Steve Phelps, Dean of Instruction and Student Engagement.
Navarro Chandler, Dean of General Education and Transfer.
Jonathan Lauer, Client Support Services Manager.
Richard Plott, CIO.
Mike Pollock, Chief Financial Officer.
And welcome Vanessa up on the screen. Okay, first on our work session is the Student Learning and Success Year in Review.
Yeah, and so we have today's program is well, I will start out by saying you can see a much lighter than normal attendance, and that would be because after our wonderful commencement, what it represents is the conclusion of the academic year. And so faculty, many of whom have moved off contract, it might be why we're missing a board member tonight too. But it also is at the end of June concludes our academic and fiscal year, where people have they're racing to use their last opportunities for this year's vacation, and for a lot of our administrators. So we're excited that a number of folks are on well-deserved leave today and through the rest of the week. But no worries, because we are in very capable hands. We've got a couple members of our dean's team who are here to present tonight an update on an end of the year review that they did within the division to remind everybody of great work they did in the year. And so we're doing this a little different for the board's benefit. What you're going to experience is a lot of the work that went into the results that we're getting, and then at the board retreat, and then a couple months there later, when we get the finalized report, you'll see the mission fulfillment report. So you'll see the outcomes. But this is kind of a teaser to when we show you the outcomes, which most are very positive, as the results are rolling in for mission fulfillment report. It's like, well, how did we get there? What did we do? And so Stephen Phelps and Navarro Chandler are going to walk us through, on behalf of the entire SLS division, the great work they did this year.
So we do have a presentation that's thinking about loading right now. So in the meantime, because we don't want to waste time waiting on the blue circle of death, we'll get us started at least. The purpose of this presentation, of course, is primarily highlights of the things that have gone over the last year. It's really difficult for us to sit here and try to say that we can talk in high fidelity to you about everything that we've been doing in the last year, because we've been doing a lot. It doesn't seem like it stops. As you all know, commencement is a wonderful time, and it seems sometimes that we just did it, and then here we are again. So anyhow, I do want to welcome everybody here, and I will get the presentation going up and running as fast as I can. This past year, we had three primary focuses within SLS, obviously tied in with the institutional mission. What are we going to do for our new students? How are we going to increase persistence and completion? And then what are we doing about the student experience at large? For 25-26, the things that we saw primarily resulted in enrollment growth, student success, and workforce expansion. So we've been really busy. Sorry, I keep looking at the thing and it's slowly going. It's just waiting to go. So with if you want. With healthcare and education, so a couple of big things, and these are all things that you have been getting bits and pieces of throughout the year as we go through all the things to get approvals and expansion and stuff like that. But our Bachelor's of Applied Science in Education, that's obviously a huge thing. It's taken a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff that's still going into it, and getting to the point that we are now allows us to kind of look down the path and see the opportunities that are in front of us. And it's a big thing for us, because if there's going to be a deficit in our community when it comes to the stuff that we can provide, it's for our educators. We want to make sure that the students that are coming up in our secondary institutions have the resources that they need to be able to transition to us. So offering the Bachelor's of Applied Science in Education is one of those big things. Up here at Redwood, getting the dental programming up here is another huge win for us. It took a long time to get here. A lot of hoops that we have to jump through for the various accreditation things that go into approving our program. So we did get that up here, and that's going off really well. In fact, I was just working with some folks from Grants Pass today on some of their students that have graduated and are coming into our program. Recruitment opportunities for both dental and nursing, increasing the enrollment, increasing the awareness of folks of these programs that are out here. And then, of course, nursing. We went from 58 students to nearly 150 in the fall, which of course is huge for us in this region when it comes to our health services. We are facing a deficit up here in many ways, and providing the workforce is what our partners are demanding of us, and very much so within health sciences, we've been meeting that mark. Dental assisting and hygiene, the first RCC cohort graduated Saturday. So that was really cool to be able to call out those names and throw the dental right after the name. First time here at RCC for that. That's great. And then the dental assisting students have also been working with the Oregon Health Sciences, OHSU, for trips to explore various careers that they could get into beyond RCC. So one of the things that we are looking forward to as we move forward is how can we increase our transfer opportunities for students? And a lot of that foundational work has been going on this past year as well. So getting that out there, getting those students exposed to those opportunities is only something that strengthens our partnerships for them moving on, and of course provides opportunities for them. Another big thing with the dental folks is they took a trip. They went to St. Lucia to provide services to folks in the communities in St. Lucia. Little jealous of that, but you know, they got to get that experience. And what's unique about that, and one of the things that sometimes we tend to lose sight of when we're in the mix of, you know, people asking for these type of approvals, is that for a community college to do an outreach like that, it's a pretty big thing. This is not a university. This is not a private school where those trips may be expected. This is something that we have to go above and beyond what we typically do to provide these type of opportunities for these students. So they got to get out there and experience a lot of that fun stuff. Emergency services, they've been going at it as well. The largest paramedic program enrollment in our program's history has happened this last year. A huge thing. Again, before the nurses get to see you, unfortunately, oftentimes it's going to be the paramedics and EMTs that are seeing you. So we're building out that continuum of services for our regional workforce. The courses have expanded. They're coming up here. We already have them getting set up in the welding building where electronics used to be. We have the flexible models for them too. One of the things with community colleges, again, not being like big universities and private institutions, is that we have working adults that are coming to school. Those working adults, they need flexible programming. We have a 2-day cohort, paramedic cohorts for them. 2 certificates have been added, as well as a short track internship to get them into industry. All of these things are things that we kind of do on a day-to-day basis, but when you stop and we think about what has been going on in the last year, we do get to recognize that these are things that are atypical, and they're atypical in such a way that very few community colleges of our size with our resources are going to be able to accomplish the same things. And then, of course, nursing allied health. We have more certified simulation educators. We're looking for what can we do to increase our simulation offerings, our simulation technology, and part of getting any of that, or doing any of that, is getting the appropriate educators to be able to put on the trainings and the education that's needed. The PN program is now embedded into the ADN pathway. It's a model that we do see around the United States. It's not an easy model to get into. Nursing accreditation has multiple layers of accreditation, inclusive of whatever we have to do for HEC, whatever we have to do for NWCCU, and then the nursing licensing body. So there's a whole bunch of steps to jump through, and adjusting any curriculum like that is not an easy feat. Then, of course, outreach. Our high school partnerships are getting out everywhere in support of being supported by our health science professionals. So they're getting out there into the high schools, they're getting out into the community, strengthening all the partnerships and doing all the things that we talk about doing, that we see as these lofty goals. For us, it's standard of practice.
All right. I have it all pulled up.
Okay.
I'll keep working at it. If you want to send it to Michelle. Technical difficulties, so we'll pivot here a little bit. Good afternoon. So, a couple things I want to highlight from my area, general education and transfer, is the work that we're doing with our co-requisite work. I know I've talked to you guys over the years, different presentations about different things that we're doing there. The most recent one, co-requisite course that we developed was Math 105, which is our kind of entry level, lowest kind of 100 level math course. Contemporary math for students that want to go into that contemporary math or need that contemporary math for their degree certificate. So anyway, we piloted it last year and we had a 65% pass rate in that. So we weren't happy with that. We went back, redesigned the co-requisite course. Oh, here we go. Awesome. I'll let you steer for a little bit. One more slide. Perfect. All right. So you can see there, we had a 65% pass rate in the 24-25 academic year. In academic year 25-26, we increased that pass rate to 84.5%. About a 20% increase in pass rates for those students. So just going back, figuring out, redesigning it, figuring out where the pitfalls were for students. 85% pass rate for a math course is pretty phenomenal.
I hope that didn't involve lowering the bar.
No, my math faculty would not allow that. No, it's not a lowering of the bar. The rigor's the same. The students still have to pass the same final. It's a departmental final. That final did not change. Besides, they change the numbers every year or every term to make sure there's not cheating, things like that. But the final is the same rigor. It is more about understanding the challenges students were facing, where to emphasize the instruction, how to work on that co-requisite course. We saw the same thing too with statistics, and as we got better at it, the pass rates increased as well when we created that. But good question.
How many, what is the number of students that took the course?
It was about 100. When I ran this, because we did this presentation prior to the end of spring term, it was, I think, 92, but that wouldn't include spring term because we wouldn't have the pass rates in yet. So it
included spring term.
This did not include spring term.
This doesn't include spring term.
No. So this was summer, fall, winter, because we were still in the middle of spring term when we did this presentation. When I looked at it, it was, I think, 91, 92 students. So I didn't do the count. So it would have been over 100, maybe 115 students or so.
So how many co-recs we have in math now?
So right now for math, we have the statistics and then the Math 105.
They're both kind of core ones they build on for other things.
So there's 3 what they call gateway math courses: Math 105, 243, or Math 111.
Yeah.
And so those are the entry points for students, their first 100 level or higher math course. And so those are the courses that students generally take to pass their college level course, unless they are in a field that has to go higher. But usually those meet the math requirements. So, and then we have writing 115 co-rec as well for the writing side of things.
Nice.
So anyway, super proud, super happy with the results of that, and we'll keep tracking that data. So it's not just, we're continually looking at the data to see how it's working, tracking, adjusting to make sure that this move away from a developmental model to a co-requisite model is working and meeting the needs of our students. Next slide. From science area, we one of our math faculty, Tony Cremo, wanted to connect
the science students with industry, with jobs, give them opportunity to learn what kind of job opportunities there were. So we started this guest lecturer series. We had one in the fall, one in the winter, one in the spring. We had a pharmacist come in. We had an it was a veterinarian, that was it. And then the owner of Reed Surgical Assisting Company came in, did presentations, packed house. I think in 24-25 we had 210 students. 25-26 it jumped up to 276 students. So lots of students learning about the different careers that they're available to them.
If you're looking for a potential, the Jerry Work, who used to be the head of the National Laboratory or U.S. National Laboratories in Washington, lives in the Valley.
Okay.
And he's pretty fascinating because they covered everything.
We can talk after.
We'll talk after.
And we'll get some rigid. So anyway, it's a way, Steve kind of set this up with different things that we're doing, either completion, persistence, and this just kind of talks to that student experience and giving them opportunities and connecting them to their education to the labor market. Excellent. That's what human services. Seen huge, tremendous growth in human services. You can see over the years. This last year, 29, about 30% increase in FTE, and a 17%, nearly 17% increase in headcount. So the growing. And what's more impressive than just the growth? Next slide, please. Is the completions, the number of students that are completing a degree or certificate. Now, take in mind that these number here for 25-26 does not include all the graduates that just came through. So it'd be another 15 or so students graduating with their associate's degree. But we redesigned, we had 1-2 completers in the certificate for years. We reduced the number of credits, redesigned that program, and you could see, and it made it stackable. And you can see that this year, 25-26, 24 students received the certificate in that human services program, human services degrees you can see listed up there. And then again, the associate's degree you'll see the huge jump in that. We have 5 now, but probably another 15 or so that graduated couple days ago. Next slide.
Is it, before you go on, is this the program that SOU is eliminating?
I have not read the report that came out on Monday. Is human services one of them?
Services is one of the 3.
My question was going to be, what impact, if any, might that have on RCC?
Yeah, so Navarro and I haven't had a chance to talk
Talk about that. Fair enough.
Yeah, so it's very fresh news,
Okay.
but it's a conversation we need to have.
Okay.
So I will say their plan, and I don't want to derail their presentation. I was going to say my monthly update is to highlight in the plan. It recognizes our associates program. So we're going to have to look and say, does that meet the needs of the region? If not, how do we work to do it? But you can see the growing enrollment.
Yeah, so a number of our students, and we just signed, are working on signing an articulation agreement with Portland State. They have an online program, so a number of our students are already going there and working with them. I would imagine we would increase that partnership with them as one option. And then we might have to explore other options as well. And that's really disappointing news. I didn't realize. I haven't had a chance to read that report, so.
I think it was released today, I think, in the public.
Okay, Dave asked us to talk about the student experience, one of the areas to focus on. And music is one of those areas that's growing, huge enrollment increase. Lots of students really enjoying that opportunity to perform. We got the jazz combo, Riverside Chorus, Road Chorus, concert band, chamber music ensembles. We just articulated an agreement with PSU, so we have a seamless transfer for students that want to go and continue that path. In music, we also worked on an ASG in music to make that transfer. Should be AGS. Transfer a little more seamless. So next slide. And we also have clubs, concerts, doing all kinds of performance, just sort of that student experience and engagement with students.
Well, I'm glad we have the technology working. Talk about computer sciences here and stuff. So CTE, these are the programs that fall into the applied technology CTE side. As you know, we have some, not all CTE programs fall into one area, but primarily within applied technologies, these are our main ones. So transportation technology, you're probably more aware of this one than any of the other CTE programs right now because of the level of involvement that we have to have with y'all with the building of the new buildings. So we are expanding. We've had some phenomenal opportunities. The Lamborghini you see down there in the bottom was brought up by Lithia. They were doing basically a road show. They had been racing in California, and I believe they were on their way to, I want to say Canada, but I'm thinking that's wrong. But they're on their way to another race. So they stopped in Medford to show off the car. And if you've not had an opportunity to see one of those Lamborghini Formula Ones, you should really take a look at it. And it's surprising how much they don't care about the body. Something we all learned. But those are our students that got to do the uncovering for it for when they started off their ceremonies, which is a great thing. The $50,000 donation we had presented to us here at the automotive shop. We've already spent that money out for equipment for the students. So as a matter of fact, we spent nearly all of it on multimeters and some transmission and engine trainers. So we got to update a lot of our things for that. And then down there at the bottom right was CTE Day at the Capitol in February. This was notable in the sense that we went out there, we represented Rowe Community College, we represented CTE at large, but we brought 2 student alumni with us. And when we would go in and talk with some of the legislatures, when they talked to us as the administrators and faculty, of course, we're going to be pitching our biased pitch. They would talk to our students, and of course, the students are going to say the same things. When they spoke with the alumni, the conversation, at least from what I saw, shifted because they realized that these are not students that have to be here. They're, for some reason or other, choosing to be here. And in the case of our alumni, they're tied to Rogue. They were happy to do it. Without us asking, this is not something that we did. Their employers paid for them to be at CTE Day at the Capitol. So it was funded by their employers, which on the politician side, you know, when you see that it's not just your constituents as far as your students or the alumni, but these businesses that are also supporting it, that speaks volumes. And fortunately for us, both of the alumni were high-speed alumni. They're trendsetters. They're doing things that are well above what most technicians are doing at this stage of the game for them. So huge thing there. And a big thing also with the transportation technology, and this is on the administrative side for the faculty and the director, is the changing of the curriculum. It is a significant lift because we are blending the transportation and diesel, and we are at the stage now which for folks that are not in the curriculum world, they have their entire programs mapped out. It's just a matter now of saying exactly how these courses will be defined and assessed. So big changes with transportation technology. More to come. I know there's more discussion with this that will be going on for the foreseeable future, at least. Very exciting stuff. A lot of community input from this and a lot of community engagement. The welding program, also going crazy. We have a notable thing for welding is that up here at Redwood, we have 77 students in welding, which is insane. We're running about 120, I think, down at White City. So to have 77 students up here is just wild for us. You'll see down here, this is Rex in the middle there. Cornerstone is a company here in Grants Pass, and he made that for that company. And if you go out to Cornerstone, you will see that hanging on top of their building now. So we try to get them engaged with the students. A picture from Weldathon, which they hosted again, Careers and Gears down there at the bottom. But welding is just going crazy. engaging in all the things that we want our CTE students to engage in, working in industry, doing projects for private individuals who come in and they have an idea, great learning experiences for our students. And they're really taking a lot of pride in what they're doing. And again, this is something that welding is tied into our transportation technology as well. If you're in the diesel program, you're taking welding classes. So it's just this ecosystem of our disciplines blending that's really, really fortuitous for us. So manufacturing, one of the things that you'll notice, and I hope I'm always able to do this, or any of us for that matter, when we're talking about CTE, is to be able to see things that people are doing in CTE that are happening in the real world while they are students. So Beatrice, she's one of our graduates, walked on Saturday. What she's holding there is the bat holder for softball. So she made a bunch of these bat holders because the park wherever they're playing didn't have them. So she made them customized for the teams or whatever the case may be. And she's bringing them out there. And this, everything that she did, the additive and the subductive manufacturing that she had to use in this was taught to her here at RCC. Now it's going out into the world. The little toy down there at the bottom, it's like a skull that breaks apart and gets some weird design, you know, all the 3D printer stuff. Weldathon, so it's a picture of the folks that were out there for Weldathon, Paula and the guys from the departments. Manufacturing is a slow burn for us. It is growing, it's growing slowly. One of the big problems with manufacturing is if you want to buy a piece of equipment, you start at $100,000. Just start there. Then making sure that we have the expertise to teach that. They are also intertwined with our apprenticeship programs. The apprentices go through them. The millwrights and stuff like that. And of course, welding apprentices go through both of these programs as well. Also growing, also doing great things. A lot of cool, I think y'all got the fidget spinners at one point from them. So yeah, a lot of different things that these students are learning. Alrighty. So visual arts, if you have free time, I think it's through the end of this month at the Hive, we have another student art exhibit going on. I recommend you get out there and look at stuff. These students they're really good at what they do. These are just different pictures of things that we have going on. The June 6th, that's up there. That's from the previous year, I believe. I think that's the previous year. We didn't get an opportunity to highlight it last year just because of timing, but they did their art show last year. This year, when they opened, within the first 2 hours, they had over 250 people show up. Then they stopped counting because they wanted to enjoy the show themselves. So they're doing a lot of great things. The Langstrom Gallery, Langford Gallery and Talent. We had a bunch of students that got to have their works hosted there. And these were works that, I don't know if you've ever been to that gallery, but I mean, they have these things that are for sales, like $10,000 for this painting. And right next to it is an RCC work, which is really cool. The students are out there, they're all dressed up to the nines, and they're talking about their work and stuff, getting out there, doing the things. We brought jewelry back this last year, and that has been just an overwhelming success. We keep denying them when they say they want to buy silver and gold. We say, no, can't. So the price of silver is a little pricey for us right now, but they are getting the skills that they need, and it has been a huge hit for us. Ceramics is also blowing up. We added, typically we're teaching, for example, Mondays and Wednesdays. We had to open up 2 new cohorts on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. It's just crazy over there how big those are getting. And then of course, all of the painting, life drawing and stuff like that. If you're ever walking around Table Rock, if you get down into the D building, you'll see the works that our students are doing. And it's absolutely amazing, the stuff that they do. And maybe it's easier to impress me because I can't draw a stick figure. So, you've heard a lot about this as well, digital design and media. So we got the LED wall up there, which is really cool. This next year, this is going to take another jump forward. We're going to be getting, it's called a red camera. I don't know, but it's a production grade camera. The dolly system, we're going to be installing lighting above to mimic shadows as you're walking. So you can be walking in this projected environment effectively. And if you're walking through a forest, the shadows above you will be changing all through the systems that they use. And our students will be learning how to do the things I have a hard time explaining. So it's really great for them. The Dolby Atmos system, we are 2 speakers away from being a Dolby certified school. We have the brackets made. We had to do a whole bunch of engineer type stuff, but these speakers, it's really wild. They'll take the room and they'll move it on the screen, and you can hear the music and the sound just wrapping all around you. It's really crazy. But podcasting, video production, all these different things that the students want to get into, they're gonna be able to get here, and they're gonna be getting high-end industry grade experiences here that you're just not gonna find anywhere else. There's no other institution out here that's gonna have this stuff, not to the level that we have it, at least, not anytime soon. And then computer sciences, I will work with them a little bit more and make sure I don't have these issues in the future. One of the challenges that we have with computer sciences is that technology is always changing. We know this. We had fallen behind, and it's hard to keep up because we have a lot of things you have to do. You have to make sure you have the right expertise. You have to make sure you have the right equipment. And you have to make sure that it can be incorporated in programming. Over this last year, the computer sciences department has been revamping their entire curriculum. So that we're gonna have a whole bunch of changes coming forward. This next year is gonna be fun for the curriculum side of the house. We plan to put in some servers and networking equipment that would be separate from the RCC system, so our students can actually go in there and do things that Richard and his team would never want happening on our networks. So we will have it separate, quarantined, and really be able to step them up into the modern world and into the things that we need. Yes, sir.
How do you pick I went through the course catalog on computer science a little while ago, and how do you pick which languages you're working on?
How do I think what?
Which languages that you offer?
So I know that they're doing some Python stuff.
Good,
They do teach some of the older languages, and you're asking me now, putting me on the spot,
Yeah.
but for familiarity more than anything else. But I know it's Python heavy, and of course they're doing all the.
Good. That's a big, you need that right now. And I noticed in Oregon, the only ones that offer it are PCC and Southwestern.
Yeah.
I was desperate enough, I was gonna take a class at Southwestern, and I'm glad you guys are thinking about it.
Yeah, well, if you ever need classes, we can get you tied.
Okay.
It's all great to me.
All right. I'm gonna do my best to channel my inner Dr. H. Next slide. So in the areas of curriculum, the Curriculum and Academic Standards Committee this past year saw 171 course changes, 14 new programs, and they suspended one program. So very busy, and it's just a testament to the departments, the committee, tweaking the curriculum to make sure it's meeting the needs of the students, and what that is, and whether it's developing new programs, changing a course, or maybe even unfortunately suspending a program that we have to do from time to time. In the area of teaching and learning in the TLC, Teaching and Learning Center, they were focused on really trying to increase the opportunities to support faculty with different trainings and different learning opportunities. A few of those are they did a bunch of faculty training sessions at Fall In Service, facilitated scheduling software rollout across 3 departments. They started new Blackboard video tutorials to help faculty with different trainings that they can take do via Blackboard online. As far as the base, they had to implement new systems to help with that base program. They implemented a new instructor evaluation, student evaluations of instructors. We had really low completion rates with our last process with that. In implementing this new system, the number of student evaluations of instructors increased 3-fold. It's now averaging 22%, which I know is not great, but it was like 7 or 8% or something. So at least we're getting more of that feedback, which helps us deans, especially, so we can make sure that the instructors are meeting the needs of the students. So it's great to have that input from the students. They developed a new online teaching and learning playbook, and then the TLC created short courses to help adjuncts with different training opportunities. So they've been really busy on that training and supporting faculty in that way. Next slide. Library services. They revamped did some renovations, I guess, to the library here to make it more accessible for students. They continue to support students with the reference librarians, online chats, and they also do class visits to work with students and support the instructors that way. And really cool textbooks. They have a huge library at all the different campuses of textbooks. And they try to help the students with the cost of textbooks by providing those opportunities for students to just come and check them out or work in the libraries with them. And they added 663 textbooks this past year. So that's huge, saving the students $41,580 annually. So just you know, what they can do and what they can do to support students that way. Next slide. GED pre-college busy. I think they had over 70 graduates that got earned their GED this past year. Support hundreds of students working on their GED, and also with their English acquisition classes are full. So number of students participating in that. Okay, now I'm gonna switch to Lisa Parks. And see if I can channel her. Next slide. Apprenticeship. As we move to as the states move to this performance-based funding model, completions become ever more important. So Lisa and her crew created 2 new CPCs, career pathway certs, for the apprenticeship program, so that we can count those students as completers. So just looking at different ways to really capture the work that we're doing. And also 14 new training agents, resulting in 77 additional apprentices. So just expanding where the need is, where community or industry needs apprenticeships, and trying to meet that need. All right. Business department. Program and course alignment to workforce, working with advisory boards to make sure that the program, the classes are meeting the needs of the community, and the advisory boards kind of help lead that with those recommendations. Christina Wooten, one of our faculty members from business, took a pretty extensive trauma-informed professional development opportunity. And so then she's bringing that back to the department and they're trying to incorporate that into their teaching practices to help students that may have been through some trauma of sorts. So kind of focusing on that lens. And then they continue to use OERs and increase the number of OERs to, again, help save students money. You can just see here a number of the workforce training opportunities, classes that are offered, number of students that are participating in the workforce training and community ed.
Alrighty, so as Navarro was saying, I will try to channel Pulse Creative. One of the good things with enrollment management, though, is everything that they do is felt by everybody and seen by y'all throughout the year at some point. So again, this is just kind of that summary. Credit enrollment has gone up by about 5.5%, which is fantastic. Helps with our FTE number, which has increased by 7.6%, which is also good. We have 119,337 enrolled credits. That is crazy. Great numbers to have. More than 10,000 students this year, which is another one of those big milestones. You know, it's kind of like turning into a teenager. You know, it's just another number, but it's a significant number. And then, of course, with student success advising caseloads have gone down by nearly half. They were at around 1,500. They're now between 700 and 800, depending upon the advisor. And transcripts evaluations have gone from a 6 to 8 week turnaround to a 1 to 2 day turnaround. So going from weeks to less than 50 hours, it's a really big thing. And of course, that helps our students get into the programs that they need faster. It helps them know where they are in the here and the now, rather than waiting nearly a half a term to figure out what's going on.
Good question.
Yeah.
Looking at the 10,000 students, can you help me get to that number? I'm looking at FTE and headcount. So
Yes.
we're just gonna combine those, right? How are we getting to 10,000
So
students?
the 10,000 is how many enrolled people we have. So you might be counted I'm gonna confuse my terms, the duplicated number.
Okay, you answered it.
Yeah, you might.
For a term, I can tell you, I'm looking at a table right now, and so this is duplicated head count. In the summer, we had 2,300 students. In the fall, we had 5,600 students. In the winter, we had 5,700 students. And in the spring, we had 5,800 students. And so unduplicated, that's quite a few. Excuse me, duplicated, that's quite a few. But unduplicated credit and non-credit, we had 10,244 is where we ended. So
Does this chart include the summer, the one that you just added in to get to the 10,000?
So yeah, but summer's a leader, so it was last summer.
Okay,
Because
okay.
and so this is, remember, this is from spring, and I mentioned like at last meeting, a lot of the workforce courses that you just showed, they aren't on a regular term schedule. So if they start a forklift class May 19th, those students may not be enrolled. And so I'm looking at the equivalent of live data right now that says
I see.
that 10,244 is we're pretty much done for the year since we've got like a week and a half left.
I see.
But I don't know, maybe some more driver's ed students will squeeze in there. But
That's pretty common,
yeah,
of course.
so it's a very fluid number because oftentimes when we think, well, yeah, but if we're in spring term, then the students are enrolled. But so much of our growth has also been all those courses that were on the last slide and non-credit.
Okay, thank you.
And what it means, I mean, the big thing with all that, to your question, is there's a lot of people coming through our doors. Yeah, a lot of people coming through our doors.
And just for context, I love to nerd out, 7,855 credit students only. So, right, so when you look at 10-2, you might wonder what's the difference. So 7,855 credit.
So roughly, the balance of those students would not be credit, they would be
20
adult ed.
28, 48, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. That would be adult ed, the workforce, that slide, the pre-college GED and the workforce is. And that's really an area that workforce is one that's grown tremendously to me, we don't teach credit class in forklift or first aid CPR in that sense, but employers tell us they want it.
We get a certificate for that, is that right? Yes.
Well, you can. So, it's a kind of good thing you're bringing up, Gary, is that those workforce classes, a big push that we've also had over this last year, which I don't think is reflected in maybe it is with our credit for prior learning.
Mhm.
So when we have those students that maybe do the first aid through community ed workforce training, and we can then recognize those as credits, get them onto the credit pathways. We want to be able to maximize their opportunities as best as we can. And of course, ultimately, we're looking to our community. What do they need? That's what we have to do. High school registration day. So a big thing getting out there at the high schools. So this picture down here at the bottom is one that has come up a bunch of times. And it would be remiss of me to not say the same thing that I've heard repeatedly with this picture. This is at Grants Pass High School, and each table out there is a different college. The table with all the people in the front in the line is RCC. That matters. One of the things that is just, I don't want to say it's unique because it's the same everywhere. Local people stay local for community colleges. Very rarely do you have somebody that's from here who's saying, I'm going to go to
Central Oregon.
or anywhere else. They're going to stay here for very good reason. And that's a testament to us getting out there and say, let's capture this population of students and get them enrolled, get them excited, and get them doing the things that we want them to do to be able to start here and be successful. So our high school partnership teams, they're out there, they're rocking, they're all over the place. So if you're ever in the high schools and you're not seeing them in any type of regular basis, we're dropping the ball. And the high schools are saying they're out there all the time. So that's really, really a good thing for them. With our partnerships, our high school partnerships, over 2,000 accelerated learners, 20,000 plus college credits completed, 3 million in student savings. That's why they stay local. They can go elsewhere. They will not realize those savings. 35, almost 36% come over into RCC Advanced. 2 years, 23 to 24 and to 25, 26. Increase of almost 30%, college now 35%, and early college 11%. These are significant numbers. These numbers matter. They matter for our economy, they matter for our students, and they matter for our ecosystem. TRIO, EOC, and ETS, over 2,000 students have been served. They have the federal grants have been submitted for the next 5-year cycle. The reality with them is we are concerned about those grants, but that is not stopping the work and is not stopping their motivation. They're doing everything that they can, and they're running forward as if we're going to have the grants coming without question. Again, a testament to the people that we have working here and the engagement that we maintain in our communities. Student life, STEP advocacy resource. So we have shifted this last year between how we're spending our money we're shifting to spend more money through the STEP program to maximize reimbursement we get out of it. So while that just started over the last really term and a half, that is something that the foundation this year is going to be building into next year. And hopefully we can maximize more of that reinvestment into the college. They've been helping everybody. We have 19 organizations on campus that Student Life is working with. 75 students have been connected through our peer navigators. So they're just staying busy, keeping the students engaged, and of course, keeping everybody else engaged as well with them. Admissions and recruitments, first time advising, communications, in onboarding communications, we've been doing a lot of work on that. The student experience, as we mentioned earlier, is something that we're trying to focus on. And sometimes, we can accept somebody, but if we're not following up with them, out of sight, out of mind, and a lot of times our first year students don't know what questions to ask. So we've been working really heavily on our communications with them. Nearly 6,000 admission applications and self-guided placements have been completed. Again, not a small number. Just over 900 fraudulent applications. We like that number because we know we've caught them, but it's also terrifying because how many are out there that are just not making it to us, or the ones that we miss. So it is a thing. 5,700 call centers for incoming calls, and then almost 500 Genzabar chatbot requests. AI is here. The Genzabar platform implementation. So this kind of gets into the weeds a little bit, but I felt remiss by not bringing it up or including it in this slideshow, because so much work went into Genzabar over the last couple of years. So much restructuring, so much process change and improvement has gone into this. It's just really, really hard to not bring up the fact that this was a significant amount of their work. Kudos to them. They've done a lot.
J1, could you explain what J1?
That's our Genzabar system.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was thinking of J1 Visa.
And please forgive me. I know I'm absorbing the Oregon mold of having for everything. So I forget that sometimes we have too many acronyms. So transfer credit automation and the Raptor implementation. So one of the things is we're looking forward into the upcoming year that we want to make sure we're focusing on is the idea of transfer. How do we get students to go to our upper division partners, whether it be SOU, Oregon State, or somewhere else in the country or in the world? And so trying to make sure that we're also able to accept people these ways is a big thing for us. One of the options that a student has when we talk about completion rates is they have the ability to transfer out, not having completed here, complete classes at another institution and then upper division, and then reverse transfer it to us. So we want to make sure we have our systems in place because that helps our completion and it reduces time to completion for students. So anyhow, we talked about these numbers a little bit ago, but 6 to 8 weeks down to 1 to 2 days. That's a huge, huge number. Another big thing that we've engaged in is a year-long schedule. So we already have Pathways. Pathways is a fairly old concept in higher education at this point. but actually mapping it out for students so students can have predictability in a year-long schedule is something that we're working towards. We put the full academic years out there. There will be change. I mean, don't want to say that it's not set in stone, but it can't be set in stone because we don't know what's going to happen term to term. But at least getting it out there gives us a template, it gives us something to work with. Student communications is another big thing. Emails being revised. What that is we have standard emails that we send off based off of various triggers, and we've taken 70 of them and revised them to be more concise and more appropriate for the students to be able to take action on when they get them. We know that students can get inundated with things, and we're trying to make sure that whatever they are getting, it's not going to be overwhelming or distracting to them. Priorities going forward: new students, persistence, completion, the student experience, workforce, and transfer. We cannot ignore our workforce. Our workforce needs our help. We are a conduit for talent for our workforce partners everywhere. And right now we're kind of in a tough spot where workforce is having to do the exact same things we are, and they're going to have to do a lot of return on investment things. Make a lot of return on investment decisions. We need to make sure that the product that we're providing them, our students, are going to be of the highest quality so that we can mitigate some of those or help them to mitigate some of those decisions that they may have to make. And thank you. You hear oftentimes from people in the community speaking with you and all that, but in SLS, we realize that so much of what we do does run, as it were, up the chain and land on y'all's desk for y'all's decision. We do appreciate the support.
Steve, thanks to both of you. You and Navarro have summarized an amazing number of accomplishments. I assume you haven't run out of things to do.
No, not yet.
Okay, well, the reason I'm considering here is to say, okay, you've got a lot of things in front of you still to accomplish next year. Have you got the resources you need to be able to attack those?
So Lisa and I have these conversations about, do we have what we need or do we have what we want? And it's very hard in my role to make a distinction sometimes. Could we use more funding, more resources, more support? Absolutely. We know that with more funding, more resources and stuff like that, we could take the programs to places that we know they're ready to be. We just can't be there right now. You look at EMS, for example, we know we have to provide EMS up here and we have them in a temporary location, and we're working towards the goals that we need. But we have to do it in a very measured pace, a pace that's measured in a way that we can maintain stability, maintain sustainability, and ultimately do things the right way. We could do so much more, but it's a capacity thing. We don't have the capacity statewide to do what we need to do, and Rogue is not exempt from that. As Randy has talked about many times, the funding model from the state is not favorable to us, which
so most of your constraints are financial at this point.
In one way or another. I mean, it comes back to the dollar, whether it's personnel, equipment, or programming. We have to operate in as fiduciary a manner as we possibly can. One of the benefits we have at the community college level is that we are much more nimble than other places, and we can rely a lot on our creativity and our grassroots contacts, which sometimes is not seen as easily in some of the bigger institutions, but we can leverage that.
Yeah, I'll add to that too. Science, for example, we're at max capacity at Riverside, and we were hoping to expand some stuff out to TRC with the ball and different things. So there's limitations with limited funding. State funding is reduced, and so you have to make choices at times and still try to provide the best possible service and meet the needs of students that we can. But
I think we're at there was a great response by both of them. I think we have seen our increase the last couple of years because of our commitment to be relevant and our ability to work with the community and get to yes. How do we get to yes? And we do that. I think the current resource situation is one, getting to yes is going to be harder. So when you think about need, I guess the need is does our community want more from RCC? Does it want to continue that trend? If so, we're going to fall short on need. If the thing about community colleges, we are so stinking resilient that we find a way to work within our resource structure we have. We don't do a good enough job saying, but here's the things we're not doing for you because we don't have the additional resources. But that day is coming very near where we're going to start saying no to areas that there's clear need in our community because we don't have, as Tim put to the point, financial resources.
But the obvious question is, how can we help?
I think advocating and helping understand there's a couple opportunities with 4124. I said it over and over again, and I think we want to work within the college structure. But there are many ways, I'll be candid and say our college is disadvantaged under the current funding model, whether it's the current enrollment, the equalization, the unweighted FTE. So any or all of those things being addressed is going to help our ability to respond to the way our community has recently taken to the work we do. And so I think there'll be more in the coming months on how we can advocate at the state level, the importance of prioritizing the work being done. And I've said this a couple times and it's crazy, but the work we do at RCC is more cherished and respected at the national level than it is the state level.
Well, I assume that we've heard some conversations about the marketing piece that you're putting out to get the word out to the community. I mean, to me, that's a message that has to get out there, and I assume that that's included in this.
Well, it is. We're talking about changing the pivoting on it because we're getting information back saying, what we're doing is demonstrating. Here's the wonderful things we're doing for you, and we've not done enough saying we're going to have to partner together in different ways if you want us to stay at it or do more.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have to call that out. We're hearing that in a couple different surveys and efforts we're doing across the community. Is if you're struggling, we don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the workforce training and all that's going on. I just have a few questions. How you measure the transfer when students transfer? I think we've talked about this a little in the past, but the completion at RCC. Do you know who's completing at higher level for your colleges or other programs? Is there a way that we track that to know that our students, once they leave here, are actually succeeding elsewhere?
Some where I could answer that.
Yes. And
It's not easy.
it is not an easy answer. That does not mean there is no answer to it. We do know that a certain percentage of our students do get out. They transfer in 3 years or so, which is kind of the standard. More students transfer out in 3 years than 2 years. And they do finish. At what point do they finish? We don't know that. Part of it is, we track that in 3 years, they're going somewhere. From that point on, let's say, John Smith, for an example, gets out in 3 years. We know he ends up in Portland State. If he doesn't graduate from Portland State, do we not count him? Maybe he goes somewhere else. It becomes a change sometimes. So what we consider success to be at that point is, are they graduating from here or are they successfully transferring somewhere else? Between the two numbers, that gives us a success metric. Is it all of it? No. Now, that being said, we have also in the past 5 or 6 years started tracking what we call outcome measures, which tracks them 6 or 8 years down. It is still a pretty new metric. I would be a little shy in sharing a lot of it because the numbers are so small in just about 4 or 5 years, but we are getting there.
But Isam, we have through National Student Clearinghouse report, we have the ability to track a cohort that transferred on and whether they earn that bachelor's or others advanced degree. So we do have that ability to track cohorts in that way. And we're kind of our infancy on that data analysts on transfers, but it'll be something we look at.
Okay. And we can do that we can, going through National Clearinghouse, once the cohort is set, we can tell you, the fall of 2024, at 6-year point, this many people did graduate overall.
Right.
Or at 8-year point, this many people did graduate overall. Yes.
We're short on time.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. The workforce. So do they need a GED to go into the workforce classes or no? Because they're not classes or anything?
Not my area. I don't believe so.
It depends on what's being taught in the workforce. So for example, a forklift training that's being taught, they might be 18 and a high school student. So they're gonna graduate high school, it is not yet done so. So each course has its own specific entry requirement. So some they may not.
Because I know we have a little bit of a dropout rate and I'm wondering if they need to do before they go into diesel mechanic or something like that. So some do. And then the classes are getting full and filling up. So how do you turn some away? Is it a first come, first served basis? How do you decide who gets in and who doesn't?
So, yeah, I mean, their students register and once the class fills, they go on to a wait list. When the
Okay.
wait lists fill, we try our best to open up more sections. Sometimes, like say with science, it's real challenging because of space. We're offering more and more Friday classes. Just to kind of meet that need, more and more evening classes, finding instructors, those kind of things. But we work pretty diligently to try to get as many students as we can into classes by opening up new sections and trying to meet the need as much as we can.
The same thing happens on the program side. Another thing, for example, is competitive entry, because we can't take everybody for various reasons. Automotive is, I mean, we're exploring, and for transportation technology, a competitive entry process, because we're turning so many people away right now, even with the new building coming in, we want to have at least a process in place. The good problem to have would be to have the process and admit everybody. But if we get to the point that we're at right now, again, we're gonna have a way to filter them.
It'd be exciting to grow that manufacturing because I feel like we need that here in Josephine County and that would be a great asset.
And that will be our last question. Thank you both for the presentation. We're adjourning the work session at 5 o'clock. You guys have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, wow.
We're going again.
And that's part of our, thank you. It's,